And we are live. Hey everybody, what is going on? My name is NGS and thank you for clicking on the video. Welcome back to another live stream. This of course is another installment of NXP Podcast. This is one that's been in the works for, quite some time. We are not going to, try to hype this up more than we already have, considering we were supposed to do this a month ago. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the long-awaited roast of Batman v Superman. This has been something that, like I said, has been in the works for quite some time, and we finally got around to recording it. So I want to bring on the other members of this podcast. Flanking on my left, we have the one and only dude from Wisconsin, DannyDsWorld. What's going on, Danny?
Why did you say that name?
That name? What are you talking about?
Why did you say that name?
It's his name. It's his name. His mother gave him that name.
My mother gave me a name, too.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Just right off the bat, though, I'm going to have to beg your pardon and ask you to please excuse any and all background noise that may get picked up. I have the unfortunate blessing, of having a very large family in the same house. And when you live in a house with about 13 people, 8 of whom are small children, well...
So suffice it to say, excuse any background noises that'll come on. If someone's head gets chopped off, just ignore it. Ignore it. Don't worry about it. It's all cool.
You may hear screaming, bagging, shouts of, oh my God, he's killing me. But I assure you, everything's fine.
Everything is fine. No cause for concern. So take those fingers away from the phone. I see you dialing 911. And of course, making his triumphant return to the channel. This is the second time we have assembled the Trinity. Man, it's been only a month since then. I'm very happy to bring back my friend Rots One12. What is going on, Robert?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
He's still a better Wonder Woman than Gal Gadot.
Oh,
hey.
So we assigning roles now? So if Rots is Wonder Woman,
hey,
who gets to be Batman?
Hey! Yo, fuck, man.
Yo, straight up shade on the stream.
Yo, you go.
That's weird as that may seem. I guarantee that is a shot at her, not you.
Hey,
This right here is the real Civil War.
Hey, for real, I was about to sign the papers up. Civil War, man.
Oh my God!
It's been documented and approved. Civil War.
And you go back to all the times in the podcast when Rots gets cut off by Danny. It's fueling the fire.
This is building up. I didn't have this declaration written. I just got to sign it. We will have a civil war then.
We still got better build up than BVS, too.
Hey, there we go. So we might as well.
Hey.
What was that? I know we said we weren't gonna comment on background.
That was
Acknowledge that, yo. What the?
I am the one.
Dog went insane.
Okay, we good.
Okay.
All right, we good. Oh, this is a great way to start off the podcast.
This is real professional shit.
This is all kinds of fun.
This is what we live for, ladies and gentlemen. So we might as well dive straight into the discussion.
This is why we usually do this at night, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, that too. So Batman versus Superman. We all have gotten a chance to see the movie in one way, shape, or form, and we have a lot of things that need to be said on it. But before we dive into BVS, and list off some of the grievances we had with it, I want to first go back in time to 2013 with the release of Man of Steel. Now, with Man of Steel, I think it was pretty well established that it was a pretty divisive movie amongst fans, amongst critics, amongst everybody. You either liked it, you hated it. There was really no in between with that. However, we felt that there was a lot of room to improve upon going forward into the future. What Zack Snyder was discussing, his plans for a sequel, both him and David Goyer were extremely excited about the potentials of Superman in the modern era. It's been a while since we've seen a good Superman movie, so hey, excitement all around. But then something happened. Something happened that summer. That summer at San Diego Comic-Con, we got an announcement for something. An announcement that kind of took the world by storm. Rob, you want to detail what that announcement was?
Oh, shit. The announcement that certain Dark Knight got added to the movie.
The announcement that was made 5 minutes before the show.
You got lost me for a second.
He's like, oh, crap, he's hyping me up. What's going on? This is a great podcast.
This is so great, man.
But yeah, they announced the Batman vs. Superman movie on the heels of Man of Steel, introducing Batman in a Superman film right after we just got Superman established. A lot of people were concerned with that. For the longest time, we were told that our complaints were overgrown. Our complaints were just fanboyism. We're just Marvel fanboys. We don't know what we're talking about. We hate DC. So, we waited for the movie to come out. And to say that the complaints that we had and our fears and skepticisms for the movie, to say that they were just that would be an understatement. There was so much wrong with... Oh, this man, he already got that evil laugh going.
Bits, man.
He's ready for that, man. To say that our fears and skepticisms were just that is an understatement. There was so much wrong with this film that in order to illustrate it, we have to look at Man of Steel and what they retroactively changed in order to incorporate this incarnation of Batman. So, Danny.
Yes.
In Man of Steel, Superman and Zod are fighting in Metropolis, right?
Yes, they are, obviously.
Of course. In Batman vs. Superman, we see that Bruce Wayne was in Metropolis when all of this was going down. Isn't that such great universe building that Bruce Wayne was there to see this destruction happening?
Oh my God. It would have been had they just had him be there, but the problem is in order to justify his rather insane rage, they had to change things. You see, as it stood in Man of Steel, we all knew that it clearly wasn't Superman's fault. And see, they couldn't go with that angle. They couldn't go with Batman assuming that this was Superman's fault, and yet we knew better, because no, that would make Batman look bad. No, they couldn't go with the idea that maybe he wasn't there and he just knows that this fight happened, and, no, we can't do that. We can't have him find out about what happened and see the death toll and then assume things or anything like that, which is a very human thing to do when you're in an emotional state. No, that we can't do that. So we have to go ahead and try to make him look completely 100% justified. And how do you do that? Why, you completely change the order of events and the rate at which they occurred. You have, in Man of Steel, when Superman and Zod first start fighting, you actually watch them slam each other through a building. A building, by the way, that's already had its top half completely broken off. Now, they only traveled through one or two of those before coming to rest in what is later determined to be Wayne Tower. There's just one problem. You can see multiple buildings behind that one building, all of which are already smoking, all of which are already in ruins. There's fires everywhere. And so when they get slammed into it, and it's a completely darkened, blacked out building with absolutely no lights in there whatsoever, that's when Zod's heat vision kicks in. Now, the interesting thing to note is that in this movie, it's Zod slamming Superman into that tower. In Batman v Superman, however, they altered it. It's Superman pile driving Zod into Wayne Tower. And then Zod's heat vision goes up. So Superman is directly responsible for that tower coming down with all those people in it. That now well-lit, completely occupied tower. And I mean, that's not even touching on the fact that the world engines, for crying out loud, were altered to the point where their damage didn't even clear out the buildings. They were going off for maybe a whole 2 minutes before they stopped. And oh my God, the rate at which things happen. I mean, Bruce blacks out because that building gets like hit, and then of all things, after it collapses and he's hauling people out of there, he wasn't even out for very long. They established that much, but they already have Superman and Zod re-entering the atmosphere with that busted up satellite trailing behind them. Right after which, I believe, don't they slam into the train station or whatever, and that's where that family gets cornered. So yeah, it's like that happened so much faster than it did. The damage has been completely, trumped up and changed to the point where it's like the world engines did the least amount of damage to Metropolis. It's mostly Superman and Zod. And it's just ridiculous, man.
It literally does. If you watch Man of Steel and watch that opening again, it looks like two different movies almost. They changed the hell out of that.
Something else I also noticed, you might have touched on this, Danny, but the color that you saw in Man of Steel in one scene, when you see that exact scene in Batman vs. Superman, it's somehow bright and sunny.
Oh, yeah. It's brightly lit and everything. Like, it's a completely normal, perfect day, and it's like the only color in the entire freaking movie, and they use it for this. In Man of Steel, after the world engines go up, they're terraforming the planet. They're trying to change the atmosphere. They're, siphoning up all these resources and slamming, pile driving, seeding the planet with like their own minerals and everything that they need. And, clouds are forming and it's all dark and dreary. And yet in Batman v Superman, the sky's blue. The clouds, they're not there. The world engine is going off and flashing, but it's still bright out. And even when Superman and Zod are re-entering the atmosphere during their fight, he looks up, you could see the bright, the sky is all bright. There's still color around everything. Even if I can't quite remember, you could still see blue sky or if it was overcast by that point, but it's still, it's the cloud cover is still thin enough that it's a bright day.
The continuity going from Man of Steel to Batman vs. Superman is one of the strangest aspects because they're making it seem like Superman is to blame and Bruce Wayne had a first-hand look at it. But there are a lot of things that don't make sense with that. First and foremost, this was one of our biggest concerns leading into Batman vs. Superman. And that is the notion that Superman is the only being around who has superpowers. We noticed that, the way Metropolis and all these people were talking about him and Zod and this alien invasion, it had made it seem like they've never seen something to this degree. But in this movie, things are not what they seem because characters who are on similar levels to Superman or have powers like his have existed. They're established, but they did nothing. Nothing at all. And that's what we're going to touch on later on in the video when we discuss a particular character. But that's one of the biggest concerns we have going into this because they retroactively changed another movie just to shoe in Batfleck. And that's one of the biggest disservices that you could do. But that's very low on the list of complaints for us. There are a lot of things that we need to discuss. So What I want to first go into, since it's the most important aspect out of anything, is the handling of characters. There are many characters in Batman vs. Superman, if you guys couldn't tell already. A lot of the cast from Man of Steel returns in this one, including Clark Kent, Lois Lane, what have you. But we also have new additions. Of course, Bruce Wayne, portrayed by Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Jesse Eisenberg as Alexander Luthor Jr., because I'm not calling him Lex. So
Junior.
So I want to take this time to focus on some of these characters. I say, since he's the big baddie of the film, we might as well start with Batfleck. Oh, Batfleck, yes. Now, it's no shocker to anybody that we've had some concerns with Ben Affleck being cast as Bruce Wayne. A lot of people like to attribute that to the fact that, all you saw him in was Daredevil and crappy movies, so you think an actor can't change in 10 years? No. One of the biggest concerns we had with the character, with Ben Affleck as an actor, is that he could never portray the fear, the intimidation that is required of a Batman. But we were told we were wrong. We were told that he's going to come in this movie and he's going to show you up. And then we heard his voice.
See, I kept telling people that man is too soft-spoken. He's a big guy. Affleck's a big guy. He is. But he's got a pretty gentle voice, and that actually is an interesting contrast, and it can work in certain contexts, and he's made it work in certain contexts. But he's actually also a pretty good voice actor, believe it or not. But the thing about this is, I had said, I mean, even back when he tried to do the intimidating voice in Daredevil, he do that deeper growly thing. It's like, it still sounds way too light. It sounds like a dad playing scary monster with his little girl, and it did. And the fact that they actually had to robotically alter his voice, that just reinforces that to me. I know why they did that. I did see Daredevil, and contrary to popular belief, yes, there are certain cues you could still take from that performance to know how this is going to come across. And even the director saw it, which is why we have the voice changer.
Now, the voice changer is something a lot of people mentioned when the first time we saw him was when he was in the armor fighting Superman. That voice changer is not just for that armor. It's his default voice when he's Batman.
That's when he's Batman, period. Right.
And I understand people are going to say that, listen, you're living in a world where there's facial recognition technology, voice recognition technology, so you have to disguise your voice.
And yet he kept his most prominent feature, that giant chin ass, completely exposed.
When you think about it, that was something a person brought up in the Dark Knight. In the Dark Knight, when Harvey Dent had revealed himself to be the Batman, someone actually who was watching the movie said, wait a minute, that would make no sense, because if you look at Batman's chin and you compare it to Harvey Dent's chin, it does make sense. So why in the world would they go to this degree? They would give him this robotic sounding voice. To me, it's comical. You wanted to add something, Rob?
I can see both sides to this, because I can understand, if you're in a situation where you're running around, you fighting motherfuckers all day, you gliding, jumping off stuff and all that, it'd be hard to have the mental memory of, oh yeah, I gotta talk like this. Something like that. It's like, so I get, you just pop a switch on whatever your voice has changed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm really conflicted. This is one of the things I was conflicted about, because I saw from both sides about this. I just want to point out how fucking hilarious is it for everything Arrow took from Batman, this took from Arrow.
That is
true. Batman has never done.
Honestly, I wouldn't. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, Batman has never done this shit before, unless he was wearing a mech or a full helmet type shit that covered even the mouth part.
Oh yeah. That's what I mean, though. Honestly, I wouldn't mind the voice changer so much. I could see it being a thing. The big problem for me is that this is Bruce Wayne. You know, he could invent a technology that would make that friggin' voice alteration be smooth as butter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if they had to have Affleck come in and dub it in ADR and alter it in a studio and put it in there and make it seem like that was the voice alteration thing. What gets me is how freaking robotic it sounds. I know that people said they're going for a demonic voice or whatever. That don't sound demonic. That sounds robotic.
Yeah,
which is why I assumed it was only in that armor, because that armor is pretty robotic. But no.
Yeah, it's just the first appearances, they do make a difference, and I know some people in the comments are saying, well, that's kind of nitpicking. Wow, rest assured, this is the least of our complaints with Batfleck. Rest assured.
This is the top of the fucking iceberg.
Yeah, we're right up here. We got a lot to work with. So we've established he's really not that intimidating, but what about him and his role in the movie? You see, this is my biggest problem, because we were told up and down that this is an established veteran Batman of 20 years. What was the line? 20 years in Gotham. How many good people are left? How many stay that way? Which we can assume would be the amount of time he spent playing Batman, no?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
and the amount of regular people that became, that's what it literally means, 20 years in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
It's also really confusing, because in the movie they never really go into the fact that he wasn't Batman for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when they start up, he's just picked it back up, and unless you like follow the supplemental material and the interviews, you probably wouldn't know that Batman had actually been 100% retired for years.
So wait. That's something I was confused on. So this Batman wasn't retired.
No, he was.
So
it's just in the movie you wouldn't know that if all you saw was the movie.
Yeah, because I was watching the movie and I'm like, okay, this Batman seems like he's still active. It doesn't seem like what happened in Metropolis has kicked him back into things. It just seems like another day. Wow.
Yeah,
it actually makes things worse.
That's crazy. It's like we had to hear off, hearsay from like directors and people that worked on the movie. Yeah, well, he's been retired for a while. If you just watched the movie, you wouldn't have known.
I mean, the fact too that here's the thing: movies, when they do like supplemental material, they'll release like little comics and everything, and people can buy them. And like Marvel is even doing that with Civil War, where they're like adapting a lot of stuff from like the Iron Man and Captain America movies and the Avengers films into like comic form and putting them out so that people can read that as a prelude to kind of catch up and be ready for Civil War. It's got the important, relevant stuff. I get that. I do understand that. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did that too, with how he got his new suit and everything. It's understandable. What I don't get about that supplemental material is the fact that because of a marketing deal with frigging Dr. Pepper, you had to buy Dr. Pepper products and scan the barcode to unlock a new issue of the comic.
What?
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Oh, okay. We
that was like the stupidest way to make people buy that.
Oh my God!
No.
Oh my God! I cannot believe what I just heard. But
so
anyway.
unless you want to drink a lot of Dr. Pepper, you're not going to get the full backstory. But then they stupidly did release, I guess, something else that you could buy, but like it didn't necessarily jive with everything in the Dr. Pepper one. So people are like, okay, which piece of information trumps which?
Because this is what I'm confused on. People in the comment section are saying he was retired. Some people are saying he wasn't retired because he was out branding criminals. Is there a definitive answer?
Yeah. Okay, this is set 18 months after Man of Steel.
Okay.
After what happened in Metropolis, he came out of retirement. Okay. So he's been actively Batman at the time Batman v Superman starts, minus the retcon bit, for a year and a half. And during this time, see, that's the thing too, in the supplemental material, that's what really gets me about their depiction of Batman in this movie, because like I could understand if they wanted to do it like The Dark Knight Returns, where Robin was killed and that's what made him kind of stop caring and he became more cruel and violent after that when he came back. But at the same time, he also became more cruel and violent because the Gotham of The Dark Knight Returns is a far more cruel and violent place.
Right.
And so in the context of that works. In the context of a normal world, that kind of doesn't. You come across as a psychopath. But I could get it to a point, if Robin's death is what made him snap. But no, that's not even what made him snap. According to the supplemental material for Batman v Superman, according to the supplemental material of Batman v Superman, I kid you not, the reason that he went crazy and started branding and torturing and killing people is because of what happened in Metropolis.
Now, is this in a comic?
Yeah, it's in a comic.
That setup comics.
Yeah, one of those Dr. Pepper setup comic things.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
And it also showed how it also kind of gave a little bit of insight into something that Junior does in the movie there, in that he's actually been kind of monitoring things and cameras throughout Metropolis and Gotham, and it could kind of clue into how he knew so much about these heroes and everything. But it's like, again, that it's never hinted at in the movie, and unless you're reading these little Dr. Pepper comics here, you're not going to know that.
Oh my Lord!
I had no idea it was that bad. I had a feeling that
I thought it was just a little bit, but no way.
I had a feeling they were just gonna toss your ass into the rabbit hole, but shit, I didn't know. You literally need to pay attention to interviews and setup comics to understand everything about this movie before you even see it.
That's the biggest sin. Why do you have to spend so much time reading stuff outside the movie to justify what a character does? That's oh boy.
I shouldn't have to be told story elements in interviews before I see it. How fucking stupid is that?
But on to the most important aspect, he straight up murders people.
Yeah. Let's talk about this for a bit.
Cut the bullshit and get into it. He murdered.
Oh, Batman's killed in every movie. Shut up.
No.
He just...
There's death by proxy and there's murder. This shit was murder.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna let you explain, Rob, since you know the Batman comics a bit better than I do. Can you explain to everybody exactly why Batman does not kill? Because a lot of people think he does frequently in the comics.
Nah, I mean, Batman doesn't kill. There's a number of reasons that add to it, and honestly, each reason it kind of changes depending on what writer you're behind. But the general thing is normally, obviously, what happened to his parents. Also, a feeling that it's never up to him to decide, who murders who. A line that Batman has, I still to this day love, is like, if you murder another murderer, the number stays the same. You took the murderer's spot. It's I really take that line to heart. And I want to just go ahead and blend this into, I'm gonna go ahead and say my piece about Batman if I let y'all run off about it then. So the whole thing about this movie, I would say, is you have to admit that this Batman does not have as strong a will as we know Batman does. Would you guys agree with that? Oh, yeah. But yeah, you have to admit that this Batman does not have a strong enough will as the Batman we usually know. I mean, we've seen Batman experience. If this is an established Batman, the Batman we know, because they're trying to say this is the Batman we know and love, the one that's on top of his game, the one that knows all this shit. A lot of people like to say this is the Arkham Batman come to life. Nah, the Arkham Batman has seen some shit, and still he's not a cold-blooded ass murderer. I think I will never accept that just viewing this tragedy, as opposed to everything else Batman could have seen, but viewing this tragedy leads him to murdering people without thought and branding people. It, to me, I just never saw the connection to it.
There is something that I want to bring up because I'm seeing a lot of people in the comment section saying, "Oh, but he kills in the Burton movies." Are we okay with him killing in the Burton movies and occasionally in the Nolan movies? No, we're not. Like,
no, that was a problem there.
That's a problem there too. So, what is your argument? Like,
I'm kind of glad you brought that. This is one more thing I want to say real quick. You know, sometimes when a new character gets a movie, and this is like more so back in the day, there's almost like a sacrificial lamb for the first movie, you know, where you got to get the name out there and you got to let the first person do whatever they're going to do. So in this case, what else did we have as for Batman in that first movie, you know, when he blatantly threw the guy with dynamite, threw him down the hole and he blew up, big smile on his face, burning that poor bastard with the Batman. We get it, yeah, but that's all we had there. But fast forward to now, you can't get away with shit like this now. It's like people pay attention if you stray from the source, and people have a voice now. So that whole thing about the other Batman's kill, it's like that's not the point. It's not the point at all.
The point that we're trying to make is whoa. Here, Neko.
Quit opening Twitter.
That wasn't me. My Twitter is closed.
Whoa, who did that?
I don't know. But the point we're trying to make is Batman doesn't kill gleefully. He doesn't do things like this. And for people who want to bring up cherry-picked examples from the comics and alternate interpretations of the characters, listen, if 99% of the time you're looking at a character and he acts a certain way, why are you using the 1% chance that he doesn't and try to cite this as, oh, it happened in the comics? Like people bringing up things like DannyDsWorld, like just interpretations that are not in the mainstream. Things
but
that
Chris, if there's so much as a 1% chance
that get out of here.
Be in character.
Hey, hell no.
No, you ain't doing this. We shall ban you.
That's actually part of that was my segue, sir. But
yes.
Since you stopped me though, I actually do want to touch on him killing. For one thing, I have always been kind of against the idea of Batman killing. I did not like it in the Burton movies. It's one reason I could never say that was the definitive Batman. I did not like it when he started doing it in the I don't really count what happened in Batman Begins. I don't. I know a lot of people try to say that he did there too. I don't count what he did with that train as killing him. But
that's a true death by proxy, unlike somebody else that didn't get with that.
But when it comes to him, like when he actually does just straight up kill people and rises, I was not okay with that. That's one of the things that ruined the movie for me. I mean, people who know me on Facebook know that I would not shut up about that. But the reason that it upsets me with this so much is because people are trying to sell Batfleck here as the definitive Batman, the Batman from the comics. You will never get closer to the comics than this Batman. And yet he's absolutely nothing like the Batman from the comics. Another reason that Batman did not kill was because, he saw it as a line that he crossed. If he killed, he became one of them. But also because even in the most despicable pieces of crap that he put into that asylum, he could still see humanity in them. And if there was so much as a single chance that they could be reached, helped, healed, then he thought that it would be completely, totally, and utterly wrong for him to kill them. It's one of the reasons he could not kill even the Joker after what he did to Jason Todd. He wanted to so bad, but he couldn't bring himself to do it because of his own standards. I mean, that's another thing I like to point to when people talk about how Batman, clearly kills in the comics without. I mean, they'll say that he'll kill thugs but not the villains because they need to kill the villains. No, because if he would let someone like the Joker live after he brutally beat and then murdered a boy, why would he start killing people for lesser problems? But yeah, like I was saying, segue into the fact that this Batman sucks as a detective, and he is certainly not Bruce Wayne when it comes to being a calculating, strategic thinker. Because when he sits there and takes a look at everything and sees all the good Superman does, sees that he's trying to help them, and says that if there's so much as a 1% chance that he could ever turn on us, we need to act on it now and destroy him. That is not Batman. No. Batman would be a bit mistrusting at first. In fact, when he first met Superman, he didn't know whether or not he could trust him. So do you know what Batman did the first time he met Superman in the post-crisis continuity? He actually said that he had placed a bomb near innocent people, an innocent person, and that if Superman did anything to harm him in any way, that bomb would go off. And here's the thing. Superman could tell he wasn't lying, so of course he went along with it. He thought that Batman was kind of insane, but he went along with it and helped him with the one mission, and then afterwards he asked him where that bomb was. He said, hey, would you be willing to turn that bomb off now? And do you know where that bomb was? It was on Batman the whole time. And the reason that he had actually rigged himself with a working bomb was because he said he had a feeling Superman's power set would allow him to know if he was lying. But, I mean, that is what happens when Batman doesn't trust someone. He has a contingency plan to deal with them in case they do turn on him or decide not to help him or so on. But to decide that they need to die is not him. Not to mention the fact that if he had done a single dang bit of research, especially with the access he has to government files, to public files, the fact that Superman actually turned himself into the army when Zod arrived, and Zod announced himself to the world, threatening the world, and the fact that Superman turned himself in to show he's not I mean, you know, someone with even basic detective skills can put together, this guy means us absolutely no harm. But just in case, let's have something in place to deal with that. No, he decides he actively needs to put it into effect now and kill the man.
Yeah. Doesn't get the chance to live.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I had a major problem with. Like, just segueing back a little bit to people saying that this is the definitive version of Batman, because this is an interpretation of it. And so long as there is something in a comic that this character does, it is a valid interpretation.
Nah.
Really? So some of the stuff that happened in the really obscure, really weird, really bad days of Marvel Comics, if they made that in a movie, even if it's your favorite character, you gonna give them a pass for that?
Would you guys have been okay if they depicted Batman as actually eating guano and smacking the crap out of Robin?
It happened. It happened. There you go. But this is another thing.
Hold on, yeah. Would you accept? I don't know. See, you gotta really know Batman to know this. Batman Zur-En-Arrh has this. That. Yeah, he has this ridiculously colored bat suit, and he literally walks around swinging with a chain for a grappling hook with a fucking bat and a bat radio. Yeah. Would you accept that? Because that happened as well. Would you accept a random Batman movie where Thomas Wayne was Batman?
That'd actually be pretty cool if it's like a standalone thing.
That actually would be pretty cool.
Bro, seriously, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Thomas Wayne, hell yeah.
The point out the window. But here's the thing that I don't understand. We're told all of this stuff about this Batman, yet the movie doesn't show us. Everyone is saying that he's justified in what he's doing. The reason he's killing folks and the Alfred lecture for him, the reason why is because he's cruel, because he's had all this bad stuff happen to him. What stuff has happened to him? We don't see these things. All we're supposed to look at is the suit of Robin in that glass container and go, oh, Robin must have died. Guys, literally, if that's the only thing you're clinging to justify what has happened to this Batman, from a filmmaking perspective, that makes no sense. Because anyone who doesn't know that suit belongs to Robin is going to look at this like, oh, wow, this Batman is kind of ludicrous.
Well, more than that, anyone who doesn't know about the Death in the Family arc isn't going to know what's up with that. That's another problem this movie has. way too many things that they just stick in there that are in things for comic fans that aren't explained in any narrative way to the general audience.
It's ridiculous.
But that's something we can touch on a bit later. But
yeah,
when you have to actually go in and do research on a character after seeing a movie for something to have made sense, and I don't just mean like something small or like an Easter egg. No, I mean a major plot thing, because they focused on that for a reason. It's clearly still troubling him, which is another reason why I don't understand why Metropolis would be what finally made him snap. But
quick side note, we got our first comment. The nitpick by the podcast by a group of people who clearly wanted to hate the movie and have no idea what they're talking about because they've never read a comic in their lives.
Never read a comic. Okay.
Yeah.
Never read a comic. Oh God! You know what? I bet I could.
Fucking DC Defense Force.
That's that DC Defense Force, man.
Who is this?
Afro Luffy.
Man, you picked the stupidest form of Luffy, man. Oh my God.
Damn.
This man went up straight against Luffy.
You've never read a comic in my life. Please, I bet I could read you under the table.
The beef is real,
but
But okay, going back to things again. That's the thing I never understood with Batman, how he has access to all these files. And you know what the thing is, Danny? If you want to strip away him and his detective skills, wasn't there something that everybody on planet Earth heard when Zod was coming down? When Zod made an announcement?
Exactly. Yo, that's one of the big disconnects. They make it seem like this man just popped out of thin air. I mean, there's a whole lot of shit that happened in Man of Steel that apparently Bruce just wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
The Zod message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me throw a scenario at y'all real quick. Tell me if the Bruce Wayne we all know and love wouldn't have done this. If he was at the manor and the Zod message came through, don't you think after that he would start paying more close attention to what's going on throughout the world? He would have seen what Danny said. Mm-hmm. Superman eventually would have turned himself in.
Mm-hmm.
He would have that would have gave him his branch to further look in to research the character more, where he would have seen newspaper clippings about this guardian angel that had been mysteriously saving people and disappearing and all that. You don't think Batman would put all this random shit together with the timing, and then the fact that there is some footage of Superman fighting the other Kryptonians?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man! Well, more than that too. It's like you would think. See, here's the thing too. He makes it sound like he did all this with no account for human life. You don't care about human life. You don't care about our mortality because you haven't experienced it and all that. And trying to be all deep and philosophical while he's beating on him and swinging him around like something out of a freaking. He swung him around like friggin' Majin Buu with Vegeta. Okay.
Yo.
but it's what gets me about that is the fact that it ignores the fact that he did turn himself in and he did actually go with them. So, hey, we did our part, you have him, now you can leave. No, they didn't leave. They stayed there. They set up their terraformers. They were going to turn Earth into New Krypton as a means of punishing him.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that didn't work, Zod made it very clear, I'm going to make them all suffer until you end me. Or I end you. One or the other. And it's like, how would he not know that? I mean, especially the giant freaking terraformers, and he's freaking Bruce Wayne. He is a technological genius. He would be, he would see all this data that showed that the atmosphere was actually changing. The water was being siphoned out. The minerals were seeded near the impact zones that weren't native to the planet. The soil content had changed. why would he not know this? There is literally no excuse for frigging Batman, Bruce Wayne, to not know this stuff.
Yeah,
if you're writing him in character.
This is your Batman. The Batman you say is prepared for everything all the time.
Oh, wow.
This is him. But yet all this he had no idea about. And that's where we're getting pissy about, because you cannot tell me this is the definitive Batman. And quite frankly, they dumbed him down a little. I'll go ahead and say it. They dumbed his ass down in this movie.
Prep time don't do you no good when you're stupid.
Exactly. I mean, damn, they made his father stupid. I mean, who the fuck tries to punch somebody with a gun in your face? Like, hey, you got a gun in my face. Let me go ahead and try to throw this jab at you. What's going to win? Jab with a bullet? What the This is my problem. This is not definitive. Definitive means hitting on all traits. Y'all like to keep saying this is Arkham Knight Batman. No, if Arkham Knight Batman was in this world, he had all this shit settled.
If he done, man. I don't know. People just like to make it seem like Zod came down and he fought Superman all in the span of like 14 seconds. When they were there for like a minute, man. They were doing a bit.
Man, they fast forward that whole destruction of Metropolis so damn quick.
Oh man, and see that's the other thing too. In Man of Steel, when Superman's fighting Zod, it's like, do you really think that if people weren't trapped in those buildings yet, he wouldn't have heard that and tried to get Zod out of there before he brought that building down? Do you really think that if there were really people who were, still inside these skyscrapers, he would have been slamming him through them? No, he wouldn't have. And the only reason he was even fighting him there in the first place is because, again, Zod makes it very clear, I'm going to kill them all just to spite you. And it's like, I hear all these people all the time say, why didn't he take him out of the city? Why didn't he take him to some secluded spot and fight in there? He would have just flown right back, not to mention the fact that Zod is a Kryptonian who is genetically engineered for combat, for war. Arguably, he may actually be stronger than Superman, at least naturally. Now, Superman having a rather unique Kryptonian makeup, both in the comics and in this movie, were he to do the classic Superman thing of flying way close to the sun for a while, it could probably come back supercharged. But again, a lot of people would die in the period of time it would take to do that. And he wouldn't know about that ability yet, and that's something that I thought we were going to see in future movies. But no, okay, we're getting off topic. Anyway.
Back on point. So we were talking about Batman. I mean, we've said the bulk of what we wanted to discuss. There are a couple of things that we're going to say for the final act of this podcast dealing with Batman. But I want to step away from Batman for a little bit and talk about probably the biggest disservice you could do for a character, and that's what they did to Superman. Was I the only one who felt like everybody in this movie was dumping on him?
Oh, no, they were.
Not just in the movie, behind the movie, writers of the movie, the cameraman, the marketing people, everybody hates Superman in this shit.
Everybody hates Superman.
Everybody.
That should have been the name of this movie. Everybody hates
Clark.
Everybody hates Clark. Everybody hates Clark.
I mean, he even got shafted for lines. Y'all know how many lines Superman had in this movie?
Oh, 43. It was 43?
43. For the record, I don't know if this could be considered a spoiler, but Spider-Man in his entire cameo appearance in Civil War, where he's in there for a whole 20 minutes, has 46 lines.
Yo, are you telling me that Spider-Man
in a minor role has more lines of dialogue than Superman in a leading role had in Batman v Superman?
Half-hour movie. Superman, 43 lines.
And before someone says, Superman is a man of few words, he acts on things. Acts on what?
He ain't act on shit. He ain't done. It was a montage, yo. You just saw a lot of him landing places. That's it. A lot of landings and saving Lois.
He does do the superhero landing though.
Oh, there you go. You know, I heard it's hard on his knees, but hey, he's Kryptonian, so it's all good.
He invented it.
No, his knees would be hard on the friggin' concrete, honestly.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, even better. Well, I don't know. I mean, in a movie that was supposed to be Superman's sequel, the fact that he's barely in the film is kind of a telling sign. Like, honestly, he's a plot device. He serves so people around him can do stuff. That's all he does. That is all he freaking does. Superman has been reduced to being a plot device in what should have been his own sequel. What?
Superman should have been given scenes to do Superman shit. Superman shit, not killing people.
Yeah.
But
I know. Well, yeah.
just that, like,
No
they gave Batman his scenes to scare the shit out of people and scurry the wall like a big ass creature and shit like that. Superman.
Oh my God! See that's the other thing. That's the other thing. Going back to Batman for a second, honestly, kind of with Superman too. Some of the things that they did with the costumes was just weird. Like okay, here's the thing. Ben Affleck, he got pretty buff for this part, right? Nobody gonna deny that. That man got muscular as hell. Mm-hmm. But then for some reason, when they stick him in the suit, they stick him in a suit that's like twice as bulky as he is, modeled after a professional bodybuilder with fake muscles permanently etched into it. And because of that, it's like I actually could have bought Batman if he were Affleck's size, barely, mind you, but you know it would be believable. Because Affleck, he's buff, but he's not like buff. He's kind of like, you know, toned buff for the most part. I could have bought him maybe hiding up in that corner, you know, or having to dart real fast. But when he's that big and bulky and he's doing that stuff, it looked comical as all hell. I laughed.
But Danny, it's based on a comic book, so of course it's comical.
Oh, that's not what comical means. Oh my God.
Because you know somebody's gonna say it.
Okay, but somebody actually did
it one random comic. And one of those thousands of comics out there, Batman did this shit.
But the other thing is Superman's suit. Like, of all things, if anything in this movie is going to be colorful, it should have been Superman. You know, and that was a problem in Man of Steel, too. And I actually did get a hold of a color-corrected version of that and watched it, and it's like, it's so color washed because for some reason Zack Snyder has this really deep fascination with like extreme lighting. Like there's light always beaming right into the camera. So when he color corrected, everything's always tinted like really bright or orangish or yellowish. And it's weird, but like in scenes where they had like white fluorescent lighting and everything, you could definitely see the color a lot better, the natural color. Mm-hmm. And his suit looks great. When you actually see pictures of him on set and everything in that suit, it looks great. It's like that should be how it looks on film. Why doesn't it? And they're intentionally color washing it, and part of it, is to compensate for that lighting, but part of it is a stylistic choice, and I just, for the life of me, cannot figure out why. I mean, if anything, I think they actually made it darker in Batman v Superman than they did in Man of Steel.
It may be. It sure as hell looks like it.
In some scenes, maybe, but I don't think as a whole.
The blue looked darker, and like just in general, the red in the cape looked less bright.
No, it looked like it was popping a little bit more though, just a little bit more.
The only scene I think his color came out. Only scene I think Superman's color came out in was that scene in Rio when he was rescuing people from that fire.
Right.
That's one of the few scenes where the color looked fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we ain't seen
Marvel fans, are you kidding? Okay, you know what? Oh, bro, we got a whole other, archive stream here. You could go park your butt down and watch it. All kinds of problems we have with Marvel.
I got people like that. Wait till we get finished.
Yeah, wait till we get finished. But let's move on to
stay in the motherfucking chat too.
Let's move on to
I got some cold hard reality hands for you.
Right. This podcast has been derailed. But let's move on to another character who appeared in the film. if Superman is the biggest disservice you could do to a character by not using him, Jesse Eisenberg as Alexander Luthor Jr. Whoa. Is all like you guys? You ever watch something in a trailer and you're kind of scared about it because you think that's what it's going to be in the final movie, and you're hoping to yourself, oh, it's just trailers, they're just showing off different aspects, but when you see it as a whole, you're like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Where did they go wrong?
Okay. I got nothing.
Like the best way I could describe this is, and I don't like this because it's meme worthy, but this is literally Social Network 2. Literally, this is Mark Zuckerberg hopped up on 16 Red Bulls and had like a really dopey ass wig. That's all it is.
16 Red Bulls and a case of crystal meth.
Yeah, crystal meth, debatable, depending on what the rating of this movie is. If we're going for PG,
one quick small
that R-rated cut.
Yeah, we're gonna go there.
Quick small thing. Look at this. You look at this universe and you go, okay, this universe is Superman.
Right.
Unfortunately, this universe's Batman. Then you look at, you want to go ahead and look at the photo of fucking Aquaman or whatever. You see all these people and you go, okay, so this is this universe's Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
he's severely outgunned.
Like Lex Luthor, the dude who stood toe to toe with Superman, calm, collected, business. Like this guy, he walks in a room and this man just screams confidence. And then you have this puny ass Jesse Eisenberg who's like has this weird twitch all throughout the movie.
Oh man. Luthor, he doesn't just radiate confidence, he radiates charisma. Even though he's a scumbag, he's a scumbag that you can kind of he's kind of like, weirdly enough, the best allegory I can honestly think of him right now was Donald Trump. Like, he's skeevy, but he's just got something about him that even though you hate the man, occasionally he can get a good laugh out of you. He can do something that you approve. But Luthor had that thing. A lot of people knew he was skeevy, but he just had a certain kind of charisma that could get you to trust him just enough to get what he wanted.
Right.
And that never comes across here. There is no charisma here. A man who sits there popping Jolly Ranchers forcibly into another man's mouth is not a charismatic man.
That was all kinds of creepy. Like, seriously, I'm watching the movie and I'm sitting there and they got this weird violin music playing and then it ends off, the music's playing, but the scene is so silent. He has the Jolly Rancher and he puts it in that dude's mouth. Yeah, that was the thing. Kids are going to be growing up and seeing Lex Luthor force people Jolly Ranchers.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Oh God, I woke up the Trump supporters.
Trump 2016.
But the thing is, this is interesting to note, and this might actually have a lot to do with it, because according to Zack Snyder himself, Lex Luthor was actually not supposed to be the only villain in the movie. He was supposed to be working with, in the original draft, the Joker.
Wow.
Yeah. And it looks like instead of rewriting the story to fit Luthor more, they just combined the personalities of Lex Luthor and the Joker.
You can tell.
It does seem plausible. It does seem very plausible. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, this isn't Lex Luthor. This is Lex Luthor Jr. No, guys, it doesn't work like that.
Look.
They even did the head shave thing at the end. Just, you know it's Luthor.
He's the Luthor of this shit. There ain't no way around it. He's the Luthor for this. They're not going to kill him off and then his father's going to come in more pissed off than everything. No. This is Luthor for this. This is the Luthor we unfortunately had to deal with.
This is the Luthor they passed up Bryan freaking Cranston for.
In hindsight, that's actually a good idea that he wasn't involved in it.
Yeah, well, how this shit ended up, yeah.
I'm kind of glad he didn't waste our time with that.
Yeah. Just more time for us to see Bryan Cranston as Norman Osborn. But anyway, that's another completely unrelated note we're not going to get into.
They're going to kick y'all ass with all these Marvel references, man. Oh, I can fucking feel the anger right now.
Right?
I'm not if I can say Marvel one more time. One more time. I'm recording this video.
Did anybody else also feel like someone in the comment section actually brought this up? And it makes a lot of sense. You see Jesse Eisenberg's character, and honestly, his personality clashes with the uber dark, gritty, edgy tone that they were going for with this movie. Like, you just see this dude who's bouncing around like no tomorrow. It feel kind of weird. That is true.
This dude,
Lex finna make some kryptonite flavored Jolly Ranchers. I'm surprised he did it.
Yo, for real, yo. And he just popped into Superman's mouth.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny. If they're going for this whole thing, I would have bought that scene. I'm like, there we go.
You know, that actually would have been a very Joker thing to do.
Right? Like, yo.
He was the Joker, man. He was Joker light.
Wait, do you think maybe that's why?
Well, I mean, okay, here's the thing. Again, in an early draft, Luthor, Joker were supposed to be villains, and they were considering the Riddler too. And again, it kind of shows. Yeah, I am not kidding when I say that they were really as crowded as this movie felt. They were going to make it worse, but that happens a lot in like team up movies. So to be fair,
yeah, I guess.
But still, wow. The idea of mashing these villains together into one, and now when you look at the Joker, like in Suicide Squad, the stuff I'm seeing from him, I would have preferred Eisenberg's Joker.
You see,
but plot twist. Since we just fucking up the source material, they should have just had it. Eisenberg fall in a vat of chemicals. Let's go ahead and just do that.
There you go, man.
let's just do it. We fucking up everything else. Let's just do it. Why not? I'm gonna use Snyder's quote.
Then he gets a yellow ring.
Oh.
He everybody's villain.
And then his anger for being so disfigured. He is chosen by the yellow ring, so now he's the yellow man.
Right.
Well.
His girlfriend is Silver Banshee.
It puts on a big old helmet, becomes the Black
Let's
Manta.
just do it all. I mean, the nigga making. Woo!
Oh my god, that is actually amazing.
I mean, why not? Zack Snyder, everything that happened, remember what you said. Why not? Let's just throw shit in there.
Well, there you go, man. There you go.
I think we may have offended people.
Possibly. I'll ask these. Everyone's like Hillary Sanders, Trump, and yeah. You see what you did, Danny? You started something.
I regret nothing. Well, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. I regret nothing. Maybe a little bit, though. So, we've talked about Batfleck. We've talked about Superman. We've talked about Alexander Luthor Jr. I want to talk about some of the more positive things in the film because, yes, there are some positive things.
Like Granny's peach tea.
What?
Like Granny's peach tea.
Oh.
No.
That's another scene. Remind me of that scene later on when we get into the third act.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. I want to talk about some of the more positive things and the shining moments about it. Jeremy Irons killed it as Alfred.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy Irons was great as Alfred, but the problem is he was so freaking criminally underused, and we didn't really see him in the full Alfred capacity. It's like he was playing Alfred, but he was doing the work that like Lucius Fox would have been doing in the Nolan trilogy.
Because
it does seem like
they ain't had time to establish Lucius Fox. So.
Yeah, and it's like he wasn't butling very much. You know, I would have liked to see him in that capacity too, and just maybe. Like he was offering good advice and everything, but like maybe seeing him more in the role of, kind of like a fatherly figure too would have been cool.
Right. But I mean, if we're talking about the lesser of two evils in this, I can't be too hard.
For what he had to work with, he did knock it right out.
I mean,
He was easily.
I can see him being a good. See, the thing what annoys me is that every once in a while you see Alfred put his foot down because he was still in the way of, you never got to see that. He just backed up like, oh, you want to kill people, Master Wayne. Okay.
When doesn't Jeremy Irons not kill it? Well, certainly not in The Lion King.
Well, there you go. He literally did that. But one thing I do want to see at some point, I want to see Alfred smacks some sense into Bruce. Like, I'm talking punch, kick, let them get into a little fist fight. Nothing crazy, of course, because Bruce will wreck it. I want to see it. It's always been a dream of mine. I want to see them fight.
Yo, let them fight.
Let them fight.
Batman v. Alfred.
Batman v. Alfred, Dawn of Unemployment.
He is not our enemy. Sucker punch. Yo, someone has to do this. Someone has to take that scene from Civil War where Tony backhand slaps Captain America, and then he goes like, "You just started a war." Someone needs to replace the scene from the BVS trailer where Alfred's like, "He is not our enemy," and then just like Batfleck slaps him and goes, "He brought the war to us." That would actually fit, man.
So Alfred gonna be the one that gets slapped as opposed to Robin for all these years. You know what? They could have recreated that scene in live action, get the same angle of Batman slapping the shit out of Alfred. Then you brought the war to us.
But then again, Alfred, his neck would probably.
You know what's funny? That was actually from a comic that featured Batman versus Superman.
Hey, look at that.
But we don't know what we talking about though.
Yeah.
No, I don't read. I've never read a single comic, so
not a single one. This out of nowhere.
All right, and now let's touch on, I guess, the last of the Trinity here. And again, it is what is considered the least offensive, but for the wrong reasons. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I'll just say this: I like when
no.
people. Yeah, no. He's just like, no, end it off right there. Podcast over. But I wanted to like her in the role, but the thing is, there's nothing for me to like or hate. She's just kind of there. Literally just there. And everyone's hyping up like, yo, she killed it in this movie. We saw all she did in the trailer. Like, that's basically it.
You literally see everything relevant that she does in the trailer aside from watch the cameo clips.
Watch the cameo clips and when she uses, when she ties up Doomsday. That's literally it.
Yeah, she has her lasso. That's the only other tidbit you can only learn from the movie.
She was the only one holding down some kind of fort. And I got to give that to her. I was like, out of everything that fucked up, I got to say Jeremy Irons and Wonder Woman is like, y'all get the pass.
But I mean, with Jeremy Irons, like, because he gave a good performance. Gal Gadot, she has like 5 lines in the movie, and she's not even good in those 5 lines.
Oh, she's average, but see, that's the thing. It's like the only reason she shines as much as she does is because just everything else around her is so breathtakingly blah. That her being a little above blah is stealing the show. Now, the thing about that is that she, how do I say this nicely? Doesn't. Not even a tiny bit. In fact, you could completely edit her out of the movie and you would be missing almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The only time she's remotely relevant to anything that goes on is when she shows up to fight Doomsday out of nowhere, and then Batman's got to pretend he don't know why she's there. But
and that also brings up another weird point, since you mentioned her to set up the DCEU with those cameos. Can we talk about?
We can talk about those, but I'd like to finish my thoughts on her.
Oh, I didn't know you were done. I just thought that like you just collectively resting for like the next 2 minutes.
He had to recharge himself.
That wasn't 3 seconds, though, sir. That was 2.5.
Oh, there you go. Inside joke before the stream, for those wondering.
But yeah, the thing that really gets me about the casting of her is that she's small.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean, I know a lot of people like to point to those Instagram photos she was putting up, and it's like, oh, look, she getting buffed up. She lifting weights. She working out. You know, she definitely going to be able to play Wonder Woman and everything. And it's like, no, because here's the thing. Even though she's getting toned, she can't grow in terms of, you know, height, her shoulder width, her you know, everything. It's like she's got narrower shoulders, a smaller build. she just doesn't give up any kind of intimidation factor, which Amazons are supposed to give off. They're beautiful women, yes, and that much they've got down. Gal Gadot is a very pretty lady, but she lacks the warrior aspect. I mean, yeah, sure, they show her getting, knocked around by Doomsday, and she gets up smiling, and it's like all that means is that she's into some really kinky stuff, honestly. It don't make her an Amazon. It just doesn't. I mean, there are other actresses that I really, to this day, think would have been better for that role. And when the first thing that pops into my head when I'm watching her is so and so would have been so much more believable here, I'm not sure that you did the best job you could have in casting that.
They tried to get her to sell it though. That whole line about I've killed things in other worlds before and all that, and then when Doomsday backhanded her ass, and she was up there and she had the blood running down her cheek, and they had her smirking and shit like she didn't have to fight this good in a while. I'm like, I can't see it. I can't see it.
Yeah, for me, she's just there. I don't know nothing
mean, that's
positive,
it. I mean,
nothing negative. She's just there.
Danny hit the nail on the head. Is that she was average when everything was a tad bit below.
Yeah.
That made her stand out.
I mean, by that logic, geez, Jason Momoa really killed it as Aquaman.
Oh man, him and his damn coral reef hair. Yeah.
Oh, someone said Amazons don't look intimidating in the comics.
Yes, they do.
What comic you read?
Have you not seen Wonder Woman when she's in battle mode? Have you not seen the crazy look in her eyes? She's got them broad shoulders. She looks like she could kick your ass.
You know what I think when people are thinking Amazons, you know what I think they're referencing? They're referencing that episode of Futurama, Death by Snoo Snoo.
Oh no!
Yes,
not doing that,
bro. Yes, like people legit reference that and they think that's what Amazonians are supposed to be like.
Amazons can be beautiful and scary.
Oh, if we had to pick a person as Wonder Woman,
Jamie Alexander.
I was about to say not controversial, but yeah.
Jamie Alexander would have been perfect. She is a gorgeous woman, and she actually radiates badassery. She could have pulled that off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick by what I said. I agree with the guys. Jamie Alexander. If I had to pick a second, it was on my own personal thing, I would have said Gina Carano.
Chris, that was 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Chris?
Did he drop?
I don't think he dropped.
I'm good shit.
No, we're still live. What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
That. Yeah, let's go. But yeah, that's where I would say.
For those wondering on the stream, my mom came in. She gave me a receipt for gas because I didn't fill up the tank, and I'm like, "How much was the gas?" And she was like, "It was $30." And I'm like, "Where did you go?" Like,
man, you just lucky she didn't make you go and make us a full hour late.
Right? Oh man, but yeah, I think that basically sums up the majority of the characters in the movie. I mean, there are other things we can talk about, like Lois Lane and stuff. I mean, did you want to speak on Lois Lane?
Lois Lane exists.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the whole stigma needs to die of that one person always getting in all the trouble, and that kind of needs to be booted now. That's just done.
Well, that was the old Lois Lane stereotype, but like even back in the 1940s, even when she was always getting into trouble, she was she was a character ahead of her time, because even though she was a woman and she would like get kidnapped, it's like she was a boss about it. She'd mouth off, she'd fight back, she'd try to escape. She was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was ahead of her. I mean, that was the kind of thing that you didn't see a lot of female characters start doing until like the 80s.
Right.
Like she was 40 years ahead of her time. Mm-hmm. She was awesome. And she was like a perfect counterpart for Superman, because she was just like, she looked for that trouble. She wanted that trouble because that's where the news was. Superman brought that, but also, you know, she could handle it.
Right.
She wasn't completely helpless despite being a normal woman, and it's like they made a good pair, and this she just kind of gets in trouble for the sake of advancing the plot and then disappears.
And I need to go ahead and just throw this out there as well. A lot of people pointed it out, is that how could Superman single out her distress call out of everything? She doesn't have the special watch with the S on it and shit. But
wow.
Just knows when it's her.
Yeah.
And y'all remember the scene when she fell off the building?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even show him see her fall. That thing, he just called it like, yeah, I know the routine.
Right. Which brings up another problem, which again we're going to get into the third act of the podcast.
Can we bring up their relationship?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Yeah, that's the other thing. One of the weaknesses, honestly, of Man of Steel, even though I loved that movie, were the relationships with the characters and how they knew each other. And it's one reason I was looking forward to a Man of Steel sequel. It's like, I can forgive this here because we get a sequel coming, and we're going to get that expanded on, and we're going to see Lois and Clark have a relationship develop, and they're going to get closer, and maybe even start dating by the end of that film. But if not, there's definitely going to be that mutual attraction there, and we'll be able to see it, and then they'll set it up for something to happen in the third film, right? Or in a later crossover movie or something. But no, we don't see that. 18 months later, boom, they're engaged and naked in a bathtub, and he's standing fully clothed in the bathtub with her naked, but standing there while spouting philosophical stuff, because why not?
Hey, that's what's going to be expanded on in the R-rated edition. Oh,
yeah. The movie ain't going to be the only thing expanded, I'll tell you that.
Hey, yo!
The section is ruthless, yo.
Oh my God. I ain't even going to repeat some of the stuff that y'all have been saying.
Oh, man, you saw that one, right?
I saw that. I ain't even going to repeat that. But, yeah. But it brings up another problem, since we're talking about Lois and her relationship to Clark. Oh, it got really creepy. Alternate gender bent reality. It brings up another problem. If Superman is able to hear Lois as she's thrown off that building, not even 3 seconds go by, how in the world was he unable to hear the screaming cries of his mother getting kidnapped?
Well, to be fair, he's probably far more used to hearing Lois scream for various reasons.
Damn, Danny.
What? Hey, I'm talking about how she always gets. I'm talking how she always gets in trouble. I don't know where you're dirty.
Yo, so he says. Yeah, y'all in the comment section, y'all saw that? Y'all caught that?
I mean, but let's be technical. That even shouldn't be possible. She should be dead, but that's a whole nother thing.
Oh my God, this comment section has to stop.
Yeah, this made a hell of a turn. But you're right though.
Yes.
He caught on to anything that was regarding Lois, and he knew exactly where she was, no matter what. Like I said, she didn't have the damn distress call watch. That shit don't exist in this universe.
No.
But yet, his sense for his mother is just completely turned off.
I'm crying right now. Freaking Jamal just came into the stream the second day he said that. Oh my God, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. But yeah, how in the world is he unable to hear his mom? Second off, that brings up another problem with Lex Luthor. How he somehow knows who Clark is in the span of 18 months.
Detail, they don't tell us shit in this movie, man. I just thought about it.
Nothing, man.
They don't tell us shit. It's like it feels like there was a movie before this.
Right?
It feels like there was a movie after Man of Steel and before this, because I felt like we was just misinformed in so much. I understand a time jump, but damn, a time jump blind? Shit.
Like, for real, all the stuff that happens in this movie, this is the biggest problem I have with it. You're supposed to assume a lot of stuff instead of them telling it to you. And that's the worst part about it. From a narrative perspective, if you have to assume that, well, Lex Luthor probably has cameras everywhere, well, Lex Luthor is this, well, Lex Luthor is that, you are reintroducing a character for the first time since 2006. And you're telling me we have to go to this degree to assume stuff. That's the worst thing you could ever do. And it's a freaking cop-out. Someone just said he searched the Wikipedia. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with y'all. I'm so done with y'all.
That's how you found out who he was. You searched the Wikipedia.
It's like, you know that meme where it's where Superman is spray painting Clark Kent is Superman on the wall, and then Superman goes, I think he did it on the moon with his heat vision. He wrote Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that's literally the meme.
I'm gonna show you guys how much I don't know. Anybody that read the Injustice comic books knows that Superman exposed Bruce Wayne's identity all throughout every social media. He actually made a Twitter account.
That's some savagery right there.
Everybody's phone got a random notification because they hacked all the signals in the world. It all came out Bruce Wayne is Batman. So it actually happened in the Injustice comic book. But I don't know shit though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there you go, man. This comment section has to stop. Batman went on Yahoo Answers.
Yo, Luthor got the Google app and just started searching people. Who is Superman?
Who do y'all think is Superman? And you get the one mole from like the Daily Planet. Yo, I think it might be this guy Clark Kent. Yeah. Good enough for me.
And then you got that weird ass Ezra Miller Flash cameo with the pedo stash.
No, Mexican Flash.
Nah, that was Dirty Diana Flash. He had the Michael Jackson curls and shit.
Oh my god! Y'all want to talk about that cameo scene? Since I mean we're off the rails.
You want to go ahead and talk about the cameos because we got to say the real big thing.
Yeah, the real big. This will be like one of the last things because everything that we need to discuss, the main problems are in like the last act. The cameo scenes, if you can call them that.
Yeah.
They're the teaser trailers in the entire movie.
Teaser trailers within a teaser ass movie,
right? So you have Gal Gadot over here hacking into she's hacking into LexCorp, right? And she's looking at all those files.
Mm-hmm.
And she's looking at the files, and there's this particular folder that says metahumans, implying that Luthor has been watching everybody. It's like this dude is Big Brother. But it's not just one thing. It's not just a folder of him looking at every metahuman that exists. He comes up with the logos for them. For Flash, for Cyborg, for Aquaman, for friggin'...
Yeah, he came up with the logo, so it's like...
And I know some people are going to try to pass it off as, well, that was supposed to be a clever Easter egg for the fans. Are you telling me we're supposed to make sense of this in this dark and gritty, realistic universe like people like to claim?
Yeah. Well, the stupid things that I've heard to justify it. Oh, well, the cyborg symbol is the symbol of the corporation where he's being tested on, and the Aquaman symbol is just the seal of Atlantis, so
Atlantis exists, so they know Atlantis.
And the Flash symbol is just, it makes sense because lightning shoots out when he runs, and it's like, yeah, that's the other thing. This version of Flash, his powers are like inherently destructive because he uses them in that store, and he like destroys the entire store more than the guy robbing it would have.
And they want to talk about Clark Kent causing destruction.
How much you guys want to bet that the suit is going to restrain his destructive capabilities with his power?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will.
They're going to channel it,
That bullshit, man.
Yeah, and they'll use it as a way. Once he gets that suit off, he'll go completely destructive and kill his enemy. Yeah. Lex Luthor has a DeviantArt account. I'm done.
And then can we just talk about how Jason Momoa stared stupidly into a drone for about 30 seconds before finally punching it, and how there was a convenient second camera placed somewhere to catch that?
Yeah. This is like it's like if freaking Josh Trank made another Chronicle movie.
Water Thor.
Y'all
said it. Water. What?
I mean, he do look like it.
Or with a water stone.
You know that's what they're gonna go for, too. They're gonna make him their Thor, only he's gonna have more edge.
Edge.
And before we're gonna get this out of the way, before y'all start looking up dates and shit like that, we already know. We just talking about this particular adaptation of both of these characters. So it's not even necessarily a Thor thing. This would be their answer to Chris Hemsworth, basically.
Right.
Yeah, basically. The way they'll characterize him, I'm sure he'll be something of a mix between Drax and Thor from Marvel.
Possibly. But that cameo cringe aside, it also opens up. It's like it's like Pandora's box when you talk about stuff in this movie. Something you talk about leads to another thing, and then another thing. You remember how last year, guys, when we made that discussion video and we were saying, so wait a minute, if Batman exists in this universe and Wonder Woman, Flash, and all of these guys are rumored to be in Batman v Superman, what were they doing during the Battle of Metropolis? I don't know if someone wants to take it or I don't know.
Flash was he didn't want to run in there and help nobody because he just blow everything up totally. And Aquaman, see, he only cared about the ocean, but see, the world engines were affecting the ocean, so you think he was too busy doing water things.
I was expected if it was justified for anybody to show up in the sequel, I'm probably even over. Okay, it would have made sense for Bruce and Aquaman at least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But like, oh god, let's see. Well, see, originally that was actually the only confirmed cameo. Remember, it was supposed to be Wonder Woman and Aquaman had cameos in the movie, and those sorta made sense, I guess, kind of. Except if, I mean, Wonder Woman, you could blame the isolation, so she, that would kind of make sense, except for the fact that they then reveal in the movie she's been watching things on Earth,
right?
So it's like.
Yeah, it's weird because everybody out there has already been established, and if they're, I mean, Cyborg, obviously you can give him a pass because he
Cyborg's
wasn't
the
assembled.
only one you can really 100% a pass to.
Yeah, he was probably still living his life. But everybody else, it makes no sense. And you're going to tell me that something like this is happening and nobody comes to help out Superman, and then they're going to blame them. And the realization that Batman is looking at this folder that says metahumans, and he doesn't stop and think to himself like, oh, wait a minute, there's more than just this Superman guy. Maybe I should look into this. Maybe he's not such a big threat. Maybe I should actually do some detective work. No, it's like the realization that Superman existed somehow made Batman into a cold-hearted killer. That's what we're supposed to be led to believe, right? Yet when he sees this folder and there are other beings, people who can run, at a crazy speed, the god of water, this Amazonian, you're telling me that he's not going to think to himself like, hey, maybe I should stop what I'm doing.
Hang on. We got a clown in the comments here.
Exactly, I see it too, man. You see,
Captain America had the same problem. What problem did Captain America have, sir? Are we talking about the where was everybody else thing? Because, I mean, we're talking about, number one, a government conspiracy that nobody knew about. Number two, it kind of happened so fast that nobody could get there. I mean, Tony, it would have taken him, I don't know how long to fly there. That's assuming he could still use the suit. And as of the end of Iron Man 3, it looked like he was done putting on the suit for quite a while. Let's see here. Thor was... Where was Thor? Wasn't he back in Asgard?
He was still in Asgard, yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. Hulk was... Hulk? Yeah, what's Hulk going to do? Show up and make things worse?
They would have had a problem.
Hulk usually tries to stay away from these conflicts.
Realistically, everyone who could have helped in Winter Soldier was there. The only other one who could have maybe done a little bit more was Hawkeye.
Right, and I mean, he'd have to get on the plane and fly over there, and that's hours. Like,
okay, but you know what? We're done playing this.
We're done on that. Let's move into the final act of the movie.
Remember that name. The roasting will happen. Names will be named.
We got this, like, after we talk about the movie, we got like have like a whole discussion about some shit.
Right. Post credit show. That's what we gonna do.
Post credit show. Yeah, I like
post credit roast session.
Yeah.
The roast after the roast.
Tell you, man, this shit lit, man. We've been on for how long? 2 hours now.
About an hour and a half.
Oh, I thought it was 2 hours.
Yeah, we're getting up there, but we're making good time. I mean, by this point, the last time we recorded this, we were like at the 2 hour something mark, so we're making good time.
Yeah.
And granted, and we were like more focused and concise with that. This we're just shooting the shiz.
Yeah, hey, they don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck.
Exactly. So let's move into the actual climax of the movie: Batman versus Superman.
Please. Oh.
Yes.
I'd like to go on record as saying that even though this is the title event, this is not the climax of the film.
It isn't. It isn't.
It's really not.
The fight spans, what, 8 minutes?
Less.
Oh, wow. I was being generous.
I think it's like 6 or 7 tops. And that's only if you count. The only way it gets above that is if you count like a little bit of the build up and everything. In terms of actual time fighting, yeah, it's like maybe 5 minutes.
So it's revealed to everybody that Batman is the dumbest person in the world because he let himself be fooled by Lex Luthor.
Oh my god!
He let himself fooled by himself.
Yeah, because Luthor didn't even do nothing but send him newspaper clippings with words on them.
Yeah. He was just over there, and he's like, I need to fight this man. And when Clark tries to confront this man, Bruce, and say, listen, something is wrong here. Luthor is playing games with us. This man, Batman, don't want to listen to any reason, no rhyme, no reason, nothing. And he starts attacking this man, Superman.
Bro, let me jump in real quick and ask.
Prep time. Oh my god.
Let me jump in and ask something real quick. So earlier, it was the scene when Luthor sent those photos of the guy being branded and possibly dead and shit to Clark.
Right.
And Clark instantly left. He left his job in the daytime and got to Gotham in the nighttime, yet they're so close together. I don't know how that worked. But he got there just in time, and you guys know the scene. The Batmobile come around the corner. He knocked it off the road. Well, it hit him. And he confronted him. You know, he told him, next time you see the signal in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. Tell me, do you bleed? You will. All that shit, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. All that happened. Now, fast forward to now the scene we're talking about when the fight happens, and now things have changed. Mm-hmm. Clark's mother has been taken. Clark is actually approaching Bruce in a humble way. And he's like, Bruce, I was wrong. I need your help. He is clearly speaking this very loud. And what is Bruce's mindset on? Well, I'm back out here again. What the fuck? That's all he got. Well, here I am. You said if I come back out here, you whoop my ass. So I'm back out here. That's where his mind is at.
Yeah, but see, that's why it didn't make sense, because it's like he did that, and the first thing he does instead of straight up attacking him is try to talk to him. And the first thing that he breaks out to try to hurt that's the thing. This super powerful, uber godlike being is coming at you. And your idea of a way to hurt him after everything you've seen him be capable of doing is to pop up 2 machine guns and have them open fire.
Bang, bang. Literally.
His traps made no dang sense. And that's now you could argue that they were meant to distract him, but it's like all they actually wound up doing was ticking him off to the point where and he's completely justifying this. Bruce is sitting there attacking him. He walks up to him, puts his hand on him, shoves him, not even hard, and sent him flying that far and that fast. And when he lands, he's like, if I wanted you dead, you'd be dead already.
Right.
And it's like, he's trying to tell you to stop fighting. He's not wanting to fight. He wants to talk, dumbass.
For real. Like, maybe this guy isn't a problem.
He don't want to hear it.
Well, that's the thing that gets me. He doesn't want to hear it, and then toward the end of that fight, you find out why. Mm-hmm. And the real reason behind all this, the real reason Superman just has to die, and it's every bit as stupid and childish and. You remember how we said that Batman is the dumbest man in this movie? No. Apparently Batman is the dumbest 7-year-old in this movie.
Oh, boy. The dumbest 7-year-old. Go on, Danny. You've been waiting for it, bro.
He when all this talk about how, you're not brave, men are brave. You have no idea what mortality is. I'll show it to you, etc., etc. While he's sitting there, playing Swing the Superman around by the chain, he actually talks about, my parents died, and there it is. My parents are dead. But, he's like, my parents taught me one thing when they died in that gutter. They taught me the world only makes sense if you force it to.
Mm-hmm.
So there it is. And he says that as he's about to kill him. Keep that in mind. He's preparing his killing blow when he says that. He is going to straight up murder Superman so that the world can make sense again. Because the world stopped making sense when these godlike beings just came out of nowhere down from the sky. It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. We had no way to protect ourselves from that. It was just so wrong. Getting rid of him gets rid of that problem, and the world just makes sense again, except, the several other meta-humans already confirmed to exist. So was he then going to eventually murder the Flash, try to kill Wonder Woman, try to send out a tuna boat after Aquaman?
Yo.
A resurrection of the Bat Submarine.
I mean, as he found out more of these people existed, what the heck was he going to do? In fact, he knows they exist before he goes to this fight. That's the other thing that doesn't make sense, because he sent Wonder Woman the email with the video clips in it before he fights Superman. So it's like, these other godlike beings exist, and you're still going to try to kill this one as if killing him will make everything normal again.
Mm-hmm.
No, the world is never going to be the same again. Ever. Period. Now, you can argue all you want about why that would be, but the fact that he knows they exist, it's like that should just shock him and make him realize that. And on top of that, it's like if these other metahumans exist and you can't bring yourself to trust Superman, why not bring yourself to trust Wonder Woman? Why not consider the fact that she's also super freaking strong? It could actually probably be a natural counter to him if he ever went rogue. Why don't you ever consider that? I mean, the Justice League isn't just – you could make it so the Justice League isn't just created for the sake of protecting the planet, but for policing each other too.
Yeah.
Making sure that nobody ever steps on a line, which, of course, then would lead into the whole Tower of Babel thing, which you could adapt.
Contingency. Right. Whole point of a contingency plan is in case something happens.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's –
you can look at most adaptations.
He's so stupid in this movie.
He is. You have to. I mean, if you cool with this Batman, that's on you. But you have to acknowledge that they've dumbed down his intelligence. Because Batman.
Oh God. And then that warehouse fight scene, they literally showed the only good, clear fight scene in the trailer.
Yeah.
The only thing the movie does is extend it a little bit and show that he apparently his cowl can stop direct, point blank gunfire.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the only thing.
Batman's suit was always able to deflect, small caliber gunshots from a distance, from range. Point blank shots or high caliber weapons, no. Direct hits like that, no. But the fact that guy came up behind him and fired not one but two shots right into the back of his head, and you actually heard like a metallic clank off the back of this clearly not made of metal cowl. And then he just turns around and beats that guy's ass and then stabs someone to death with a knife, and then but
it gets better. It gets better.
Yeah. He shoots a flamethrower tank, then jumps in front of Superman's mom, pulls up his cape, and shields them from both the force and flame of that explosion.
Yo.
You got +5 magic on that cape. Fire
I'm
resistance.
I'm a little salty on that.
It doesn't matter how you cut it, this Batman has superpowers, damn it.
He does. He clearly does. Yo, this is the thing. I don't care what excuse anybody makes about all the deaths that Batman caused in this movie. And I'm not even counting the nightmare thing. I'll say it's a nightmare. Shit is supposed to be amplified at its worst. I don't have to use that. Mm-hmm. He killed plenty of people. About those two bastards he dropped the Batmobile on.
The guy he
served them some fresh hot ass justice. Yeah, but let me go ahead to this point right here. This dude with the flamethrower. Batman bursts in. He has a gun in his hand. I don't mind the gun in this moment because this is a very quick moment right here, quick thinking moment. And it's kind of reminiscent of a scene in The Dark Knight Returns. I know people like to say it's based off The Dark Knight Returns. That makes everything clear. No, it's based off a scene in The Dark Knight Returns when the mutants had this baby held hostage. And yes, Batman took one of their guns and he shot the guy's hand. Okay? That was in The Dark Knight Returns. In this shit, he saw this guy with the flamethrower. He looked at him. The guy looked back at him. He gets a chance to analyze it. He could shoot him in his hand, arm, leg, probably even a non-lethal spot in the abdomen area. He shot him in the gas tank, and he blew the fuck up.
Yeah. Can we also mention the fact that I don't care how you want to spin it. He got super strength too. I mean, the way he was flinging people like 30 feet in the air, the way that he was slamming them through solid concrete. I mean, he just straight up punched a guy. He didn't even put his whole body into it. He just straight up hit that guy, and his head slammed into the ground so hard that it punctured the wood and stayed there.
Yeah.
Like, come on. They're making this movie. This entire movie is a Batman wank. It really is.
Especially considering that Superman barely got any shots on Clark. Bruce.
Well, that's the thing. It's a Batman wank, and in the process, it actually takes away the very things that make Batman wankable. To be perfectly blunt, like the fact that he's not superpowered, the fact that he does, do all this based on skill, his mental prowess, all of it. Gone. It's just pure dumb brute. It's like what they did to the Ninja Turtles in the TMNT movies.
Oh,
just turn them into big, super strong, stupid but durable super beings. Bulletproof too.
We're bulletproof.
It's like
awesome.
It's like I don't understand this. Everything that I like about Batman. Everything I loved about that character was not in this movie. None of it.
This is the definitive Batman. This you got to watch when you throw around the term definitive. Because
someone in the comments, his name is Six Pack Beerus, asked, "Why don't they just make Batman a god at this point? We all know they would do it, and people just filled him in on the news."
They and he's
one of the new gods.
Yeah.
I was about to say they did, and it was and he turned it down because he's too good for it.
Yep,
that's Batman for you. That is where Batman lies now.
So, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Oh.
Everyone just gotta take a deep breath before we get into this. The real final climax of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Doomsday, Zod's Day, whatever you want to call him, whatever amalgamation of two people.
Doomzod Luthor the Third.
There you go. Doomzod Luthor the Third.
Doomzod Luthor the Third, because all that shit played a part in how Doomsday came alive in this movie.
So first and foremost, I want to bring this up. Kryptonite exists in this universe now.
After they explicitly had said that they were going to be giving him a different, more grounded, and more realistic means of having a weakness, because, and I quote, the overabundance of a green glowing space rock is simply not realistic.
Let me I'm gonna go on record. This is my personal saying about it. Is I knew that was bullshit. I knew Kryptonite was eventually gonna show it. You can have Kryptonite. It's just don't use it as often, Don't make it. That's you can have both. I mean, you don't need to completely cut it out. That's why I thought that was bullshit. I knew it was going to happen eventually.
Right.
It had to happen. They just had to make it happen faster.
Yeah.
And And I hate that Batman is the first one to ever use it offensively in this.
You know what I hate? The fact that they got the freaking kryptonite out of the freaking world engines. Yes.
Yeah.
The world engines.
I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Yeah, bro.
The world engines that were supposed to.
Oh, shit, I forgot.
Yep.
That were supposed to terraform the planet and make it habitable for Kryptonians were full of a rock that kills them slowly and painfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
these are how things are done.
you got somebody that's been asking this question a few times. You might have to answer it real quick.
Go for it, bro.
All right. Somebody was asking how Superman, how the nuke was invulnerable, but that the spear was. Basically, how that nuke had effect on Superman. They got this from the Dark Knight Returns, and I don't know whether this is accurate or not. Some people say it is accurate, but apparently when the nuke went off, it drained more than enough solar energy out of Superman's body.
It did. He was in the comic. He was a floating skeleton.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what it did to him. That's how that's how it got that effect. It sucked all the solar energy, and like how Danny just mentioned in the comic, he had to literally just take solar rays from like plants and shit. Like shit was dying just to get that. But yeah, I just wanted to add that. Yeah. That was and the spear was made out of kryptonite, so of course that would hurt you.
Right. So we knew kryptonite was going to show up in these movies at some point. I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot, though they did leave. They left themselves out in the sense that I actually did read the full interview, and Zack Snyder said maybe kryptonite will appear in this series at some point. Who knows? But for this one, we want to focus more on Superman's weakness towards humanity, because I know someone's going to bring up that interview, so I might as well get it on the table. However, you cannot deny, like what Danny mentioned, if we're talking about the you had kryptonite in the world engine. There was another thing that was quite peculiar. It came from Krypton, right? And a character in this movie, how he was able to access the data from the Kryptonians. Lex Luthor was able to access the data from Zod's ship. A human was able to access this.
They didn't move the ship, and Superman didn't try to take it away.
Yeah.
They just put shit around it.
Like, Superman didn't... Well, I mean, Superman probably wanted to leave it there in the sense that, hey, listen, I wasn't involved with these people. I'm going to let y'all handle this and see what you do. Who knows? But that's not the point of this. He was able to access this Kryptonian information. He bypassed all the Kryptonian security. Really? Are we supposed to be led to believe that he learns all this stuff in that ship, and of course he learns about what's coming next? But it doesn't make sense. Everything hinges on the fact that you have to try to justify this when literally it makes no sense. But yes, kryptonite was used in this, and
you already talked about how you got in there, right?
Yeah. How he got in there and how he took Zod's body and starts doing experiments on him, and
fingerprints of the kryptonite scalpel.
Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He comes up with Doomsday because
that's another thing though. How they even know kryptonite works
exactly
is because they expose it to Zod's body, and Zod's already dead cells start dying.
Yeah.
Again,
they're degenerating at an accelerator. It's like, so what? Is it making him rot faster? Because he's already dead.
Exactly.
These cells are dead. They can't possibly die any quicker.
It's ridiculous, man. Lex is so smart, he can manipulate the plot. Well, there you go. That's a good explanation. But yes, so Doomsday appears in the last act of the movie. And this is when the Trinity begins to fight. But, not before. Not
Doomsday.
before. We had to get the warning. We had to let everybody know that this was an unpopulated area. Everybody else who works there, they're not working there anymore because it's after 5 p.m. Don't got to worry about that. So you can fight there. They did that on purpose.
I love how they had to keep adding it. Yeah, it's a good thing that place was evacuated.
Yeah, well, it's not just that, but like when they were, how do I put this? When they first started fighting Doomsday, and they're on that island, you know, it's an uninhabited island, you would say so, but Doomsday's kind of kicking Superman's ass right now. And Batman figures, hey, this thing's got Kryptonian blood, apparently, even though I shouldn't know that. But it came out of a Kryptonian ship, so it must be Kryptonian, so anything that can hurt a Kryptonian can hurt that. I need my spear that Lois chucked down that hole just a second ago for no reason other than to have a convoluted reason for her to try to get
more trouble for herself to get into.
Right?
Mm-hmm. But it's like, so Batman just devises the genius plan of flying off to Gotham, grabbing that sphere, bringing it back to this uninhabited island, and plunging it into the monster. No, wait, that would be if this Batman wasn't stupid. No, the genius leads the thing into Gotham City toward where the spear was dropped.
Yep.
Into the city, which of course is conveniently depopulated because it's Chapter 5, and as we know, nobody sticks around after that.
But still, and even still, you can all the collateral damage you could avoid.
Yeah, property damage, money, people's memories, people's homes, people's places of work. There are going to be a lot of people out of work. They won't be dead, but they won't be able to do anything for their families.
They gonna come back there tomorrow and be like, what happened?
And I know that they could probably try to explain that away with, you know, Bruce's infinite piggy bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
But even a billionaire is going to run out of enough money to cover that after a while.
Billionaire gotta be smart, man. That shit was stupid. This is your definitive Batman. This is when they say this is the definitive Batman. He does stupid shit like this.
And isn't it kind of funny that in the span of them fighting with Doomsday, they caused more damage in this than Man of Steel?
Oh, yeah, they did. And the other thing that gets me about it, too, is it's like, why in the world did why did Batman do half of what he did in that fight? And by half of what he did, I mean hiding.
Oh, sitting in the back with the thumbs up. You got this, guys.
Got this, guys.
Now I know that in Justice League films or comics, for example, there have been times where, while the stronger members are taking on the super powerful villain, he will kind of look around and hunt for any information he can find as to how to find a weakness for the thing or whatever. He wasn't even doing that here, though. He was legit just hiding.
Yeah.
At the same time, I couldn't see him, even in some animated series, he still be throwing bombs and batarangs and shit at it.
Exactly.
If nothing else, provide a distraction so they can get a good hit in on it.
You know what? That's what they should have did instead of that.
Yeah,
whole
the batarangs. Did we even see the batarangs in this movie?
Yeah, in the beginning.
So when he branded people,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that don't count because that's not them being used as batarangs.
We ain't see a lot of shit in this movie, like a good plot, yo. But
that was beautiful. But yeah, so Batman over there doing his own thing.
Oh yeah, I remember what I wanted to say now. It's like that scene where Doomsday saw him and then started trying to attack him and shit.
Yeah.
Why they had to be Doomsday just saw him? And then he was like, then he had to get the hell out of Dodge. He could have purposely distracted him right there.
Right.
And then like Batman could have had this moment of dodging him and getting the hell out of there. And then while Doomsday got close, Wonder Woman, Superman could have came back. He could have been doing his part.
No. We just needed a scene where Batman says, "Oh shit."
Well, you see, that's not fair because if he had prep time with all them machine guns and electrical taser things and whatnot that he was whipping out on Superman, that monster would have plowed right through it and still killed him. But you know what? He'd have been Batman. No, seriously though, it's like I actually did hear the prep time excuse too.
How
if Batman had more prep time, he'd have been in there fighting Doomsday. It's like
how? the best thing
That-
he could have did was he could have put what was left of that suit back on. But
I mean, Batman doesn't always need prep time. That's the thing. Batman doesn't survive on prep time. He has a sharp mind.
Yeah.
He improvises as he needs to because even he knows I can't be prepared for everything.
It's the entire point of his character. He's resourceful.
I mean,
tactical,
look what happened when Bane showed up on his doorstep and he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Hello, wheelchair.
Freaking hell. Because if I remember correctly, in that comic, he had been fighting for a while, so he was already worn out. So when Bane came out, it was just like, oh, crap. So you're telling me
that's the thing. That was all Bane's plan, too. He's the one who let all those people out, forced him to hunt them, and then he just took his time, and when he knew he was ready, he went there and picked him up when he was by himself and snapped his back.
No, but you see, if he had adrenaline syringes in his pocket, he could have taken Bane easily. Like, let's just be real, Danny. Let's just be real here. But yeah.
But that just shows me who really knows his character and who follows what they hear other motherfuckers say.
Yeah, but remember, we've never read a single comic.
Facts. Never.
No.
Batman.
I'm just pulling all this shit out of thin air.
Batman could beat God with prep time. Batman fanboys.
Sure, he needs
Why
to
would
find a way.
Batman beat himself?
Oh my God! Twist.
He needs to prepare on how to fix the universe, man. Can prep time fix that shit?
Batman could beat Batman with prep time. Then who wins?
Batman needs to beat Zack Snyder in his universe with prep time.
Well, there you go. But yeah, so we get into the fight with Doomsday, and shit is just hilarious, and hijinks ensue, and it looks like our heroes are about to meet their end. But then
the spear.
Yeah, the spear.
Hold on. We didn't talk about how they changed his power.
Oh yeah, with Doomsday. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because he's okay. When Doomsday first shows up, you remember how they kept trying to say that as he's damaged during the fight, bone spurs start to show up and form and everything. Now, see the way you see him in the trailer, the reveal that was him after the bone spurs started to grow. Before that, he was like a completely naked little
cave troll.
Yeah, cave troll.
He looked just if y'all ain't seen this movie, y'all keep seeing when he slides up in the camera. That's after he changed. There's a scene where he looks just like the cave troll when he first comes out of that womb.
Right.
Where the fuck that was?
The womb.
Yeah, the ship had a womb, people.
Yeah, the ship had a womb, and Doomsday was created by combining Zod's body with Luthor's blood.
So,
it was awesome.
That's why.
Wait a minute. Does that mean that when Lois and Clark had their baby, it was going to turn out like that?
Oh God! Why would you do that?
Zod Luthor the Third. It was a reason.
Yeah, there you go. It's I can't even. I'm done. This is supposed to be serious.
But yeah, they got to go get the spear.
Yeah.
And Lois, of course, just chucked it down a flooded stairway. Why this stairway is flooded, I don't know.
Because Lois needs to be in danger.
Lois needs to be in danger.
That's
We
basically
gotta create tension.
So she decides she's going to go in after that spear and then gets trapped, of course. So Superman's got to not only go in there and save her, but expose himself to kryptonite while doing so. And so he almost half drowns while getting her out. Then he goes back down for the spear and almost drowns getting it out. She takes it away from him, tosses it off to the side, pulls him out. He starts to recover. He looks over at the spear, looks back at the destruction going on with the heat vision going off and everything else because he's got that now because he's reanimated Zod. Yeah. And he's also Broly because every so often he gets stronger on his own just by existing.
And when he changed, didn't he literally pull his top layer of skin off and then have the bone spurs and shit under it?
Yeah. Yeah, and Wonder Woman cuts his arm off and it starts to grow back, but there's jutting bone spurs onto the top for some weird reason. Anyway,
he doesn't grow a hand back. He grows the bone spur out of the nub.
Yep, and it's so weird because it's like, I don't even want to think about that right now. I don't want to think about any of this right now because this is the part that pisses me off so bad.
No, I wanted to lead into this, but Rob, it's only right that Danny takes this, even though I know Danny's been chiming in a lot.
I mean, he probably has the strongest emotional attachment to this.
Yeah, more than anybody. So as we get into the scene, it looks like our heroes are at their ends.
Emotional attachment to this. I ain't even cut you off.
Yeah, no, you good, bro. You good. So it's looking like none of them can beat Doomsday. And then Clark has this realization that the only way he can take down Doomsday is by sacrificing himself. And by sacrificing himself, he would take the spear, the kryptonite spear, and stab it into Doomsday. And in turn, he would die because Doomsday would kill him. Because, you know, it's got to be deeper and deeper and deeper in there. Yeah. They killed Superman, everybody. They killed Superman in the second movie. In his second movie, they killed Superman. And before Danny gets into this, before anybody out there says, well, he's not really dead. If you look at the end of the movie, you saw the dirt levitate. Listen, the fact that they killed Superman.
That's part of the problem.
Yes, and Danny, I know you're getting ready, but we'll just touch on that in just a second.
Human.
Yeah. The fact that they killed Superman in his second movie, we barely got to know this character, and using it as some type of plot device is part of the problem. And it just shows that people do not understand Superman. Because if your entire defense for this is hinged on the fact that, well, he's going to come back. Danny, take it away.
All right. Well, okay, here's the thing. First of all, the entire setup and the reason that he even thinks to do this, incredibly stupid. Why? There's someone else there. Superpowers, not affected by kryptonite. Wonder Woman. Could have taken that. Could have stabbed it right into him. Now, here's the other thing. Batman still had some of that kryptonite gas that he was using on Superman in a grenade launcher, and he decides to waste it for some reason. If he had saved that and held on to that for a time when they actually needed it, this could have been perfect. Both of them and what they brought to the table actually had the means of essentially helping Superman stay alive. But, of course, we can't have that because we needed to BS this. The fact that... in the comics, when Doomsday came to Earth, he was completely wrapped in this sackcloth suit with, you know, these goggles over his eyes. His arm was restrained. Both were supposed to be restrained, but he got one loose. He was in this obscenely thick metal cage, you know, and he manages to bust out and start just, you know, you have no idea what this thing is, what it's doing. And he just starts this rampage across the countryside. And as you see him encounter other things that are alive, just because they're alive, he sees them and he kills them. Like this deer grazing. You know, he's walking along, this deer sitting there grazing. This deer actually walks right up to him, starts sniffing him. He grabs the thing by the neck, hauls it up off its 4 feet, which are flailing in the air, and he just crushes its neck and drops it and walks away laughing. This thing is the embodiment of death and fear and hopelessness. He is literally the opposite of what Superman is. Superman is the embodiment of life and possibility and hope. That is what he is meant to symbolize. And so when this thing shows up and it just blows through everybody, it blows through the entire Justice League, it blows through Superman even, and he comes to the realization that this thing is stronger than anything I have ever fought. I cannot hold back on this thing, especially since it's getting close to Metropolis, where Lois is, his wife, where his friends are, where most of the people he knows are. And, well, basically just a whole lot of people for Doomsday to kill. It was the first real major metropolitan area he was going to hit. And so he rushed over there. He fought the thing. He pushed himself so hard. And just the symbolism of hope and hopelessness, you know, light and dark, hope and despair, death and life, clashing in the streets of Metropolis, and seeing him push himself harder than he ever had. We're talking blows where the impact from them was shattering windows and shaking the ground from several blocks away. We're talking unprecedented levels of combat here. And seeing him push himself harder and harder, open up his heat vision into that thing like he never had before. I mean, we're talking taking no prisoners either. He was getting cut by those bone spurs. They were sharp enough to pierce his skin. And yet at the same time, he was also, he was snapping the bone right off that thing. And once he found out that could hurt it, he kept doing it. And they just kept wailing on each other and ripping into each other. And it wasn't until both of them had literally put out everything within them that they both finally fell to the ground dead. Superman died not because of kryptonite, not because of being stabbed, but because he had given literally everything for the people of Earth. Everything he had, down to his own life, the energy keeping him alive, he even put into that. It was one of the greatest sacrifices that anyone had ever seen. And at the time when this comic came out, it was shocking. Superhero deaths at that time, they were permanent. So when they see Superman dead, it's like, nah, no way he's really dead. No way. And then you find out, yeah, he's dead. After funeral for a friend, they canceled his comic for a while. It was put on hiatus for 4 months. Nothing related to Superman was coming out. None of his titles. Just done. And then when they finally bring him back, you have all these different people claiming to be Superman. And that's also sort of symbolic about how different people claim to be, this and that. I'm the real hope. I am, I'm your new savior. Etc. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not going to get into how he came back and what that's meant to symbolize. But just know what his death was meant to symbolize and what it meant at the time and how utterly shocking it was and the emotional weight behind it. And then compared to this, where not only is he killed by something that was easily avoidable, but not even killed in the same way, not killed in a way befitting the impact and the sacrifice that was shown in the comic version, okay? But it just completely preventable. And then on top of that, in the ending, they cop out with that dirt rising off the coffin because, guess what? Maybe he's really dead, but maybe he's not. Wink.
Don't get mad, people. He ain't really dead.
But see, this is so stupid. It's just mind-boggling how disrespectful that is. It's like you did not get the point of the death of Superman at all. Just completely over your damn heads. And then on top of that, from a narrative perspective, what the hell were you thinking? You're never going to be able to do a Superman movie now. Never. That's going to have the same kind of impact and fear. And, is this going to be the time Superman goes out and doesn't make it back? Because, we know that while they don't necessarily adapt everything 100% from comics, we know that Superman died. We know it's a famous arc. We know they might eventually try to do that. So there's always that lingering fear, could this be the one where Superman dies? Just like, there were always fears of what if Batman doesn't make it this time, What if this is the one where Captain America dies? What if Tony doesn't make it this time, And especially since that there are people who showed up after them who took on the role after they died for a while, it's like, that this could be the one. And even if you know that they might eventually come back, it still worries you. Superman, if they killed him off in the movies, we know that they'd probably eventually bring him back, but it could have been so emotionally impactful and just, oh my God, But no, we don't get that now because every fight after this, they will not be able to kill him again. Certainly not with Doomsday, certainly not in the same way.
Nope.
And certainly not in the way that befits what happened in the comics. And when you kill him again, because it's not going to have impact because we know he'll be back now. It's like, and the only reason that it has impact in the comics is because of what he symbolizes and what his death symbolized and what he died fighting and what it symbolized and how long Superman had been with us at that time. I mean, he debuted in the 1940s, correct?
Yep.
And then that comic series came out in the early night. Yeah, he was 50 years, I believe, at that point. He had been in comics. And then dead. And it had an impact on people, and so did his return, and now we're not going to get that, especially since the reason his return was so impactful was his death seemed so final and everything, and then when he came back and what that symbolized too on top of it. But now it's like when they show that dirt rising up off that coffin, there ain't no wondering whether or not he's coming back. He's coming back.
He's coming back. Yeah.
They killed all suspense with that.
Yeah.
In fact, he might not even be dead. He could even come back next movie for all we know. So why should we care?
Jeez.
It's now you'll know why.
Hey, you want to talk about me writing stories for these DC movies?
Oh, actually, we can save that for. We can save that for another. I know where you're going with this, but we can actually save that for another podcast.
Suffice it to say, you can ask either of these two guys. I actually came up with an entire way of managing to keep the Nolan movies and use them as the start-off point for the DC expanded universe.
Yeah, I'm not even trying to hype this man up, but it was pretty legit. But
This man sold us on how Bale's Batman could have merged into the DC extended universe.
With minimal convenience attached to it. Yeah, it was legendary, but again, we'll save that for a later moment. A lot of people don't understand why Danny put it better than I ever could, why the death of Superman was so important, but I want to look away from that. Just look at it from a narrative perspective, stripping away comics. You have a person who, for the entire first movie, people were uneasy about him. They didn't know what he could do, whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. And, it's understandable. You never gave Superman the chance to be a good guy. You never gave him a chance to grow and show people why you should keep hope alive. And for you to kill this character who still has a pretty uneasy public reception and use that as your reasoning as to why people are going to learn to love him because his sacrifice was great in death, that makes no sense narratively. It makes no sense going forward because you're just going to bring him back and everyone's supposed to be like, wow, I was wrong about that Superman character. Maybe he is a good guy. I mean, Batman was literally ready to kill Superman not even 10 minutes before his death. And he is supposed to be inspired by Clark sacrificing himself. He's going to use this motivation. He's going to use this motivation to, oh my God, build up the League.
Build the League.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Zack Snyder has confirmed that part of the reason why he placed so much emphasis on Batman instead of Superman is because he wanted Batman to build up the Justice League.
He wanted Batman. Strictly Batman. It couldn't be the Trinity himself. That'd be too much like right.
Yeah, it would make too much sense.
You can't be the Trinity himself and split the cameos up 3 ways.
No.
All Bruce.
If I ever see that man, I swear to God.
Oh, we gonna get into that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that we can say, which we'll touch on later on. But I want to end off this discussion on Superman's death with this. You have not earned the right to kill this character. You have not done anything to give us a reason to care for him. He's in this movie just to die. I don't see how people can look at that and say it's emotional and impactful when they literally spent the better part of 2.5 hours shitting on this man.
Shitting on him. Kicking dirt on him. Everything. Can I jump in at this one?
Go for it.
See, You're gonna kill this man off, and you're gonna make that being the moment, him sacrificing himself. Why now he is accepted? Now they appreciate him after he's gone. This is Superman. Superman should have been inspiring people from the start. If you'd have done him right in the first place, if you would have done, I will say this right now. If they would have done the death of Superman right, I would have said, you know what, y'all are GOAT as hell. If they would have done it right. You can't even present this character right. You know, I saw a video once of somebody, they like merged the better parts of the scenes from Christopher Reeve's Superman. Mm-hmm. And they showed them like right next to Henry Cavill's thing, and they try to get it as close as possible how they did it, and you can see it's like a night and day difference. Yeah, there's a reason why people love Christopher Reeve's Superman so much. Mm-hmm. You know, yes, the CGI was dated. Yes, he took off going the whole 4 miles per hour, but the thing that you loved about that was that he made you feel. He made you feel super. It may sound cool. He made you feel super. How many people ever hear that old Superman theme, and you just want to get up and look both ways and then just rip your shirt open like you got the Superman suit under it, yo? He inspired you. Like the little scenes I remember, Superman's the type of guy where you would see him talking with little kids, high-fiving people in the streets and stuff like that, presenting himself like that, creating all this good nature, and they did not start doing that. And that leads to a problem I have with Zack Snyder and his Superman, because he threw all that shit out because he just want to show how powerful he is. That's the truth about it. He just want to show this is Superman, probably one of the most powerful characters in fictional history. That's what we want to show. We want to see him throwing blows, destroying shit and all that. The whole point of this is that, yes, he has immense power at the tip of his fingers. He could destroy a whole lot of stuff. But the whole point is that he is such a good person, he wouldn't hurt a fly unless you fucked with him that bad. That is the whole point. There's two sides to this Superman thing. You know, you can't just, Superman is not that type of character. Well, what kind of slugfest is he going to get into next? You got to present a message. He has to present his message, and if you step over his line and you make him have to throw hands with you, he will knock you the fuck out. That's the two sides. And the fact that you couldn't get this right, and then you want to go ahead and do the death of Superman, like you said, you don't deserve to do that. You don't deserve all the good parts of the DC universe yet. You can't just rush and do this shit. You cannot.
The frustrating thing is that they were actually almost there, too. They were working toward it. They were creeping there. They were getting there. A sequel could have got them there. And then... Yeah.
I gave Man of Steel a pass because I was like, this is him starting. Okay? Yeah. This is him getting it started. But then this shit happens, and they just shit on him, throw dirt on him, just all this crap on him, and then you end up killing him. Oh, and now you appreciate him that he's gone. When you really shouldn't even, because you don't even know the dude.
You don't know the dude.
Superman had no problem presenting himself to the public. You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so when I see the whole vigil and I see people crying and shit like that, and I was like, I see where you're coming from. At the same time, I really don't, because you're not connected with this motherfucker yet. Like, I hate to keep going back to it, but the Christopher Reeve Superman, who always interacted with the citizens and shit, he always flew down and talked with people and stuff like that. They all felt like they knew him, yo. Yeah. And it's funny because y'all remember that little fake airline commercial where they was talking about you may see a local celebrity and Superman dash past.
Turkish Airlines, right?
Turkish Airlines, yeah. They got more appreciation from him in that commercial universe than in this actual movie. So they actually didn't make sense.
I mean, it's just when you look at set photos of Henry Cavill smiling in between takes, that should be the Superman we're getting.
It's super. Oh my god!
Like that. Not this. And no, it's not because we don't have a problem with them showing the more complex sides of Clark Kent, but they aren't showing anything. Okay, guys, do not forget that what they promised us with this movie is it's going to answer one question. Will Superman pay for his crimes at the end of Man of Steel. All this destruction that he caused, you will learn to see Superman take responsibility. That question was never answered in this movie. This movie tries to do all these philosophical points, and this is where people like to bring in the whole, oh, you didn't understand this movie. You aren't smart enough. No, do not ever say that a person has to be smart enough to enjoy a movie. If the vast majority of people are watching something and they're seeing that, whoa, something is definitely off here, and you're going to go to insult their intelligence to defend it, that is a sad argument. But going back to this whole death of Superman,
the studio themselves did that too. So.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to the death of Superman, this event and why we hold it so deeply in our hearts is because of how it impacted everybody in the comics, especially more than anybody, Bruce Wayne. What you guys need to understand with this, and I'm going to get very personal here, Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent were like literal brothers. They were best friends because it came from two different worlds. There were so many differences between them, but they were like at the same time. They were always there for one another. And when Superman died, Bruce felt like he lost a family member. He'd already lost his parents before, and now he's losing someone who he could call family, who he's been through so much with. Something that would make Bruce cry. And that does not happen often in the comics. This was an intense bond between them. It was an intense bond with everybody in the league. And that's why it was so impactful. And that's why in this movie universe it doesn't make sense, because they're not friends. This man wants to kill Superman for no reason other than having a temper tantrum.
They dumb this down. I see people that diehard DC fans that go to bat and they say DC has these deep ass stories and shit, but yet they settle when somebody comes and they crumple it up and they throw it in the movie like that. Because apparently, when it comes to DC, they do no wrong.
Part of me thinks, not to cut you off for a little bit, you can get back to it, but part of me thinks that, honestly, it's the fact that they see something like, oh, Batman killing thugs in a crazy way, or oh, the death of Superman, and they're like, this is great just because. It's the all flash, no substance.
It's a pacifier in their mouth. That's what it is.
It's the Michael Bay effect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead and fuck up the narrative, but hey, you see that cold ass whole one fight Batman had in the warehouse? Or what about that murder spree he went on in that nightmare he had? Like that. This movie pissed me off so much. I'm like, they seriously. I mean, if they're gonna keep going through with this DCU, they need some serious changes, because.
Well, they're losing directors.
You know what we can actually do? I know you guys want to talk about that sort of thing right now, but I think for the sake of, we should wrap up the discussion on the movie, and we're going to have a post-show credits where we're going to talk about the impact of this film and how it's going to affect the universe going forward. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do, right?
Yeah, that's cool. And also, I see a lot of people trying to ask us stuff, and we're not really getting to it, so we can set aside a little time to answer some questions and shit.
Yeah, we can dedicate that time for this, but... Yes. Batman versus Superman, ladies and gentlemen. Now you finally know, 2 hours and 25 minutes in, why we did not like this movie. And there are many things left to discuss. They might not be things that happen in the movie itself, but they affect the DCEU as a whole, and we will touch on those in a post-discussion. Gentlemen, if there's anything else you want to talk about with this movie, I'm going to open up the floor to you.
Danny, anything you guys say?
Okay, I can be a pretty opinionated person. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to hide that. People who know me know that. They also know I'm very vocal about my opinion. And that can be grating for some folk. Other folks think it's fine. I don't expect anyone to embrace it, though. But there are times when I see something coming and I call it. And I just so want to be wrong. I'm not the kind of person who wants to hate something just because I don't want to admit I was wrong. For example, Chris Evans is Captain America. I was 100% convinced he was going to be a horrible, horrible choice for that part. And yet I was so very wrong. And I am so glad I was so very wrong. But this was another one. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted this movie to somehow pull it off and show me it could be good. Now, granted, there were some things that no matter what they would have done, I would have had problems with, including but not limited to the retcons to the beginning of this movie to kind of, get the conflict ball rolling. But I wanted to be wrong. But the more that came out and the more I saw and the more that they said they were going to do, the more I saw I wasn't wrong. And that hurts. It hurt me quite a bit. And then when looking forward to the Man of Steel sequel, I was so excited for that, seeing these characters develop. You just ask Chris. I wouldn't shut up about it. But
he didn't, man. Like literally after the movie had come, when the movie came out in theaters, Danny actually saw it before I did. He was gushing to No Tomorrow. He was saying, "Oh my God, this interpretation of Superman. Oh man, it's better than Nolan's Batman. It's just fantastic, dude." We were excited. We were so excited because. I'll let Danny finish off because
it was what they did in Man of Steel, what they set up in Man of Steel, what they were already promising to do with the sequels, and then they changed to this, and my stomach sunk. And as soon as I heard what they were doing, I just had this feeling that it was going to be terrible, and I wanted to be wrong. Yes.
No, I was about to just add real quick. That feeling I was talking about earlier. That feeling like the old Christopher Reeve movies gave people that watched it an uplifting feeling. Man of Steel was giving that feeling. That first scene when he walked out with the suit.
That was incredible.
It was, and then and of course when he blasted off for the first time, I could not get the smile off my face. My heart.
And he actually smiled in that movie.
Yeah.
And man, and they just had so much potential there, and then seeing this and knowing what was coming, just hoping to God you were somehow wrong, and that this was all gonna mesh, and then when it finally happens, you see it was worse than you were afraid of, and they killed the one good thing that they had going. There are no words to express. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I was heartbroken over this. I mean, I am not a fanboy, contrary to what a lot of people in here might want to think. I loved Man of Steel. I loved Man of Steel more than several Marvel movies, for crying out loud. I wanted this to be so good, and I thought we were finally going to have good DC movies and good Marvel movies, and everything was just going to be so awesome. And this. Just this.
Yes. And if you were finished, I'll go ahead and say my little final piece about it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done.
And I really can't say anything better than Danny says, so I'll just speak about a whole nother mindset. Is that those claiming, why are we going over the movie so deep like this? Nitpicking, picking things out to be angry about, spitting unnecessary detail on things like. You got to know, a lot of people were claiming they were putting this movie over any other movie that was coming out this year, like before there was even footage shown. So a lot of people in a way, they put this movie on such a high pedestal, and it wasn't like we wanted to see it like oh man, I hope this shit, I hope this shit flops. I hope it's dumb because people keep hyping it up. It's like, no, we wanted it to be good, because yes, competition. DC could establish themselves as competition, and competition benefits the audience. Competition benefits customers, because if DC would actually start knocking movies out the park, it would make Marvel try harder, and Marvel try harder, DC try back and forth, and we gonna be the one reaping in all these excellent ass movies. This was shitty decision making. Man of Steel was a good start. They did not keep the momentum rolling. There's no conspiracy. There's no fanboy shit to this. This was stupid ass decisions hurt this movie. And there being a conspiracy against DC, why so many people more excited about the Suicide Squad in this movie? And this was when the first trailers for both movies came out. The Suicide Squad always had more views and all that shit. People knew something was wrong with this movie, but we all tried to, lock it away because, man, this is Batman v Superman. First of all, we understand how big this is. Batman and Superman, first time live action movie together. We know. You do not get a free pass though, and there's a lot of problems. There's this entitlement that because DC's name is on it, it's automatically good. No, and this was a realization. They fucked up. Zack Snyder, you fucked up. If I ever catch your ass at Comic-Con, we boxing. We are boxing. I'm gonna whoop your ass with my Superman hoodie on for Superman. Because you don't appreciate him. You do not appreciate Superman. I'm gonna start a damn hashtag justice for Superman.
Justice for Superman, for Clark, anything, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about done talking about this movie for a little bit. If you're going to stick around for the post show, is going to be starting momentarily. We're going to give everybody a chance to cool off, get some refreshments, do what they got to do. But I want to give it out to my boys, Danny and Rob. This has been something that's been in the making for a while, and I'm finally glad we got together to do this, I wanted to end this off on a very high note and just energetic and happy, but talking about Zack Snyder movies, the exact opposite happens. You get drained. For me to you for now, signing off for DannyDsWorld and Rots112. I'm NGS, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.
Yeah.